How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to talk about Budget Project Part 2. I'm going to walk you through the steps. I'm going to have different transitions for Budget Project Part 2 that you can fast forward and go back and see where the different parts are. So as you are filling out Part 2, you can follow along with this video, start and stop it, and hopefully I'll have good transitions and things like that's for you to understand where to look and go. Speaking of where to look and go, for both period 5 and 6, I wanted you guys to know that I moved up our budget project topic or title section up in our classroom feed under our classwork tab. We now have your daily agenda will always be your number one thing, and then your budget project will be number 2, and then the daily lesson will fall under here. So for both periods 5 and 6, budget project has been moved up, so you're not trying to scroll through and find it. What we're going to be focusing on is part 2. And part 2 is there's 2 documents. There's a Word or a Google Doc, and then there's a Google spreadsheet. To complete the TISML part 2, and I'll explain TISML in a minute, you'll need to fill out the spreadsheet. Okay, so as we go through things here, I'm going to have part 2, the written part pulled up on the screen, and then I'm also going to have this template spreadsheet up for us as well. I even put together a little one that I will use here and go through some numbers with you. Okay, so the reason why I call it TISML is because TISML is an acronym, and in this part of the budget project, we're going to be paying a lot of those very pesky, annoying things that everyone has to pay in life. And that is taxes, insurance, savings, mortgage, and loans. I like to think of it as TISML because it rhymes with dismal, and this is what this part of life is all about. This part won't take you long to complete. It's just, it is a necessary evil in all of our lives that we have to pay. Okay, so the first part of TISML is the T, and this stands for taxes. Every year, we pay federal, state, and local taxes. And not only do we do that, but we also pay into Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. Most states follow along with the federal government, and we have different tax brackets. So the more money you make, the higher percentage you get taken. Indiana is an exception where we have a flat tax rate. So if you live in the state of Indiana later on in life, the state of Indiana will take 3.4% of your earnings. We pay for Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid because we sometime would like to retire, and we pay into Social Security it's in the hopes that we'll get that money back, and Medicare kind of the same way. When we get older and we're no longer working, it will help us with benefits and things like that. The federal, state, and Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security taxes that we're going to be paying for in our budget project are those ones that you get taken out of your paycheck every 2 weeks or every month, depending on how often you get paid. If you currently have a job and you get paid by check, you see a pay stub where all these things are taken out. What happens in April when we file for taxes is that we take a look, we being the federal government and the state government, take a look and say, okay, did these people pay enough money in taxes? Did we deduct enough from them, their monthly paychecks for them to pay their fair share, or did they pay too much? Sometimes you'll see that you paid too much, and the state government or the federal government will write you a check and say, sorry, our bad, here's some money back. Or they may say, hey, we didn't get enough from you, you need to pay more. But that's something we're not going to worry about today. Normally, if we were in class, I would have you guys go through this, and we would painstakingly go through step by step. But because we are in quarantine mode, ain't nobody got time for that. So I've made this as easy as possible. Okay, so I've have a link here, and you can click on this link, and it's going to take you to this website that's going to make things very easy for you. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at your spreadsheet. And the first line on A2, it says salary before taxes. This is your annual salary that you found in part one. So you were going to look at your part one, and then you're going to enter that number here. I changed my numbers because I'm a baller and I'm making a little bit more than the $51,000 max. This isn't what I really make at Brebeuf, but I'm just saying that this is the number that I used. Okay. So what I did is I put in my yearly salary. So say I was making $75,000. And then in the next column, I put in what the monthly column is. All right. So that's 6,250. When you take 75,000 divided by 12, you get that number. Okay. As you can see, the first thing we need to fill out in our spreadsheet is the taxes portion. So we're going to go back to that website that I just clicked on. And what I'm going to do here is it says enter your gross income. So I make $75,000 and I am going to say that's per year. Okay. I'm going to say I live in Carmel, Indiana. If you are living somewhere else, all the states are listed here. But for our purposes, I'm going to live in Indiana, and all I have to do is hit calculate. And it's going to tell me exactly how much I am going to make a lot of different places. So my salary was $75,000, and this is per year. Okay, so the federal government's going to take $9,675 from me. So I go back to my spreadsheet and I put in $9,675. They are going to take the state, Indiana, is going to take $2,390 from me. So I'm going to come back here and put $2,390. Medicare every year is going to take about $1,088. So I'm going to put that in my spreadsheet as well. And then I look at Social Security, and they're going to take $44,650 from me. So I go back over here and I type in my numbers there. Then, so that's yearly. Then I can divide everything by 12, but this website also does a nice job of giving me all my breakdowns for month. So federal will take about $806. So I'll type that in. The state government's going to take $199.18, $199.18. Let's see, Medicare takes about $90 and Social Security takes $388. So Medicare is $90 and then we're just going to say $388. Okay. One thing, so what you can see here is that on a monthly basis, my salary is $6,250 per month, but after all the taxes are taken out, I get to keep about 76% of what I make. Okay. And that is $4,766. So yearly, I'm losing about $17,000 in taxes. So come April, the federal government's going to say, was that number enough? The state government's going to say, was that number enough? Okay. So we have the taxes portion of our part two of our budget project done. Okay. So pause there, go through and calculate your taxes. Okay. Now that you've calculated your taxes, it's time to move to part two of the budget project. And part two of the budget project is calculating a lot of different insurance costs. Insurance is so important to have, whether we're talking about home or renter's insurance, or we're talking about health insurance. We really need to have this. It really, like I say in the little description there, it's going to protect our homes and property, and also it's going to protect our well-being. Okay. So what we are going to do here is you need to think about whether or not you have homeowners in, are you owning a home in your budget project? Are you renting an apartment in your budget project? If you are going to be owning a home, which you figured out in part one, you're going to want to look up homeowners insurance. If you're renting, you're going to want to look up renter's insurance. Renter's insurance is actually pretty cheap, and it covers, not only does it cover anything in your in your apartment, but it also covers your property. One time when I was living in Chicago, my laptop broke, and I gave it to my brother-in-law to fix the computer because he's a tech nerd. And he came over to my apartment, grabbed my laptop, and then went to dinner. And while he was at dinner, my laptop, his laptop, and a couple other things got stolen out of his car. And my renter's insurance actually covered the cost of a new laptop for me. So it's very important. While you may think you don't need it, it's really important to have it. Okay. So for this one, we're going to look at my spreadsheet. And do we have homeowners and all these different things that we need to take care of? So first things first, for this, I'm going to say I own a home, and I'm going to say I owned a home in Indiana. So what all you have to do is go to a Google search, and I'm going to type in average homeowners insurance in Indiana, and I'm going to look up the number, and Google's really going to give me an idea. So it says homeowners in Indiana pay close to the national average of $1,228 per year for homeowners insurance. Okay, so I'm going to use that number. I'm okay with you guys using that number. So if you're living in Indiana, that's a number you can use. If you're living in a different state, just insert your state here. Okay, so we're going to use that number, 1,228. All right, so I'm going to go 1,228. When we take that number, I want to figure out what I'm going to be paying per month. So 1,228 divided by 12, I'm going to be looking at paying about $102 and some change per month. Okay. If you're doing renter's insurance, just do this instead. Average renter's insurance. All right. If I can do spaces, average renter's insurance in Indiana. We'll see what we say here. It's about $187 a year. I told you it was really cheap. So you're looking at like $15 a month. So that's something you can look up there. So I put that number in there. Health insurance, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go up here, and you're going to type in, average health insurance. So you're going to look up, and you can go and try to find the best number for you. So you can look up all these numbers and go from there. One thing that I've seen before is, let's say it's about $4,000 a year. That number may seem a little low, but I'm going to go with it for right now. You're going to go on and find a more up-to-date number. So 4,000 divided by 12, and I'm going to be looking at about $333 is coming out of each one of my paychecks, or each month. I'm getting $333 taken out of my health insurance. You can never assume that you're going to have health insurance paid for you. If you work at a company, you get your health insurance through your company, you get the chance to have a reduced price. So you need to calculate this or figure out your average health insurance in this state. So figure that out. Dental and eye insurance, you would do the same thing. What are your average, dental insurance costs? Dental insurance, Indiana. This says it's about $50 per person. You can just look this up. I would even say average dental insurance costs. It's pretty cheap. It says here, most dental insurance plans between $20 and $50 a month, $240 and $600 a year, depending on what you want. If you have a lower number, you're probably talking maybe being able to get your teeth cleaned, and that's all it would cover. If you have any cavities or root canals that you would need, that's probably going to come out of pocket. So dental insurance, yes, it's cheap, but it's not really covering a lot. All right. So I'm going to go on I have messed up teeth, so I'm going to go on the higher end. So I'm going to say that it was $50 a month, and you can do whatever you want. Find a number that works for you. So 50 times 12. I'm looking at 50. well, I'm looking at $600 a year for dental. Eye insurance, a lot of people don't have eye insurance, or sometimes it's included in your health insurance. Eye insurance, again, is really, if you have good vision, a lot of people don't spend too much money in eye insurance. Um, but if you have bad eyesight, or you have contacts, or you're wearing glasses, you want to maybe look around. So you can shop Indiana Vision stuff and go from there. So I would do costs and just see how much it would cost. So then you would enter that number here. Okay. So then this is all of your insurance. These are the things we talked about, fixed costs and variable costs. You know that every month and every year, no matter what, this is going to get deducted from your paychecks. So when we talked about, these are fixed costs. Okay. So that's how you would calculate that. All right. So pause, do some research, and fill out your insurance portion so you're getting ready to be done with that section. Okay. Now that you've finished that, we are going to move on to the next part, which is um, our um, our savings. And in our savings section, we are going to look at 401ks. 401ks is something that is really nice because it is money that you have deducted from your paycheck that is then going to get put into an account. And sometimes it's a money market account, or it's in stocks, or it's in mutual funds. And it is going to be money that works for you, so you can add more when you are looking to retire. The nice thing about a lot of 401ks is that the money that you contribute to your 401k, a lot of times your businesses could make matching sometimes up to like maybe 50% of what you put in. They'll match you up to 50%, which is nice because it's a little more money that's going into your retirement. So the rule of thumb on 401ks is that a lot of people set aside 10 to 15% of their pre-taxed income to go into their 401k. And I've put together, or put a link here from the wonderful people at NerdWallet. NerdWallet's a really cool website that has a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different things. So let's say, so for this budget project, I said that you guys were like right out of college. So let's say I'm 25 years old, all right, and I'm making, I said $75,000. So I'm going to type in $75,000. So and I have currently saved, well, if I'm probably not going to have $30,000 saved right away. Maybe let's say I've got $5,000 saved. Okay, not great, but as you can see, I'm moving on my goal. And what they have here is, and they even say, here's 10% of my monthly income. So 10% of my monthly income is $625. Okay. If I wanted to increase that a little bit, I can use this, and where I can get to, do I 15% would be $925. And that would put me in a really good place. If I save $925 a month, they're saying that by the time I retired at 67, I could potentially have saved $2.64 million. All right. So you can mess with this number. What do you feel comfortable? Some of us with our lower incomes, we may not want to put in 10% into our 401k. So you can mess with this number and just sort of see. So you're going to put anything. I'm going to just say I'm going to do 10%. So I come back to here, and I am going to say monthly I would put in $625 per month. So $625 times 12. All right. Yearly, I'm going to contribute $77,500 to my 401k. All right. So go ahead and go on that website and calculate your 401k savings. Okay, now that you've calculated your 401k savings, it's time to look at mortgages and loans. All right. Mortgages, for what we're doing, is paying for your house. So if you have a house in this budget project, you're going to need to calculate your mortgage. If you are renting a house, that is a lot easier for you to calculate. So if I were renting a house and I knew that my monthly rent payment was $925, I would put my $925 here, and then I would just multiply that by 12, and I would figure out how much I pay for my apartment per year. So $925 times 12, I would be spending about $11,100 a year on my rent. Okay. If you are buying a house, you're going to want to look at your mortgage payments. All right. I tell you here that it's really easy. If you go to Google to, and do a Google search for a mortgage calculator. All right. So I literally just Googled mortgage calculator. It pops up um, this little calculator at the top. So let's say I bought a house for $400,000. The house, if the house costs $400,000, most people, you have to put a down payment down. If you don't put a down payment down for your house, you get into a lot of sticky situations where the bank's going to charge you a little extra interest. It's more of an insurance type of a thing where if you can't put any money down, they kind of worry about whether or not you can pay your monthly payments. So they're going to take a little extra insurance out on you. So the rule of thumb is they want you to put 20% down of your house. All right. So say I was going to buy a $400,000 house. All right. $400,000 house. And I put down 20% of that, which is $80,000. So the actual amount of money that um, I'm going to borrow from the bank is $320,000. All right. So I wouldn't need $400,000. I put $80,000 down. Interest rates are pretty low right now. So that actually seems a little high to me. But sometimes they will use whatever the most recent numbers are. You can Google if there's an interest rate that you would want to use that's lower. Go for it. So then what we have to look at is how long do we want the loan to last? Most people will do a 30-year loan. 5, 15, and 30 are normal. 15 and 30 are your more common. Most people don't get into the 10, 20, 25, and 40. If you did a 30-year loan, obviously your monthly payments are lower. But what ends up happening, as you can see here, is the total cost of my mortgage ends up being $544,000 because I end up paying a lot of interest. But it keeps my monthly payments pretty low. If I were to choose a 15-year, my monthly payments are higher, but you see the total cost with the interest is lower. All right. So for this, I'm going to just say that we're doing a 30-year. So my monthly mortgage payments is $1,513. So I would come back to my spreadsheet and I would go $1,513. And then I would calculate how much that is per year. So every year I'm paying about $1,856, but that doesn't even include my it does include my interest payments, I should say. So understand that that's what I'd be looking at. Okay. Car payments. If you are going to have a car payment, a lot of us said, oh, we're going to still have the car that we had today. If you went out and bought a new car, I'm going to say I'm still driving my current car. If in part one you said that you bought a new car and you were going to be making some car payments, you can go to click on that link here. Bankrate has a good calculator. So say I was borrowing $15,000 for a car, you can do a 3-year, 4-year, or 5-year. I don't like the idea of doing a 5-year bank loan. So let's say we'll do a 3-year. My monthly payment for a $15,000 loan on a brand new car would be $436. So I'll put that in here. You may not have this, but I'm going to do it for those of us who would have it. So if we're doing a $436 per month, we multiply that by 12 and we get 5232. So I punch that number in there. Okay. So that is how we do that. So take a second, put in either your what your rent would be, or calculate your mortgage and put those numbers in here. Okay. Now the last thing that we need to calculate is our student loans. As I mentioned, I want everyone for this experience to understand what it's like to have student loans. The statistics are crazy. Something like 65 to 75% of all Americans who graduated from college in 2016 had some form of debt. And if you go into master's programs or you go into medical school, those numbers are going to get even higher. On our Tismal sheet, I have a great website that is going to have you calculate these numbers, and it takes you through a very easy process. Okay, so this is a website. Once it pops up, it is going to be a great helper with what you're trying to do. So it's going to take you through some information, and I suggest that you just go through and do everything. So, and you click on different things. So on this one, it says we're going to click all that apply to me. So what I have here is I have a job, or I'll have estimate my income. So I'm going to click on that because this probably isn't the first year that I have been working, or might be the first or second year, but I've probably filed taxes in the last couple of years. So I'm going to file taxes because I probably had a job at school, that I had all that fun stuff. For the budget project, everyone's single. We don't have kids yet. You can talk about I save for retirement, but I'll pay taxes on that later. I don't have an extra job. We're not going to worry about health insurance stuff right now. So you can, click on those three things or anything that applies to you. Then we're going to hit continue. I'm filing single for my taxes since I'm not married. All right. And then the state I live in, I'm going to type in Indiana. All right. Or insert whatever state you're going to live in. Excuse me. And then my yearly salary. So I said that I make $75,000 a year. I expect my income to grow roughly 2% is about the national average for how things go up. So I'm going to leave that as 2%. I'm going to hit continue. How much do I contribute toward retirement yearly? So we calculated that. That's my 401k. So I can say yearly, I put about $7,500 into my my retirement plan. So I'm going to put 7,500. All right, and then I'm going to continue. All right. So it's going to say we're going to estimate our loan balance there in step 6. It says, how would you like to estimate your loan balance? You can use loan average for a specific school, or you can use a national average. National average, you click here and you got your different options. So a lot of us will be attending either four-year public like Indiana University or Purdue, something like that, or you could you're going to go to a 4-year private. Most schools are 99% of schools are not for profit. So if you're going to your Notre Dames, your Xaviers, whatever, what I suggest doing, since we all picked where we were going to go to school, I suggest you use the loan averages for a specific school. So I am going to say I went to Xavier University, which is located in Ohio. And then this is really nice because they will put all these schools. So what this shows me is that the average loan for a kid who goes to Xavier University, and this probably takes into account the fact that I'm in Indiana and I was out of state, that my average loan balance would be about $21,000 to attend Xavier University. All right, you can type in all these. So that's a private school. Just for giggles, I would I'll type in Ohio State, even though that makes me cringe to think about going to that school. Obviously, to go to Ohio State, a big state school, I would have less of debt, but I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So I'm going back to my Musketeers. So 21,500. So I'm going to hit continue, and I'm going to hit continue. And are you interested in this? No, I am not. And then it gives you options. Do you want to pay off your loan as fast as possible? Do you want to have low monthly payments, or do you want to have the lowest total amount over time? I want to, because you're new to the real world. I want to have low monthly payments. So I'm going to click on that, low monthly payments, and I view my results. And this is breaking down everything. Most student loans are 10 years usually. So this says to keep my monthly payments low, I could pay anywhere between $121 and $363 per month until March of 2030. Okay. So for what I'm going to do for this is I am going to say that I'm going to save $200. All right, so I'll save $200, which then, if I'm going to do $200 a month, that's going to put me at the $2,400 a year. Okay. All right, so I've crunched all my numbers. So now what I need to do is I need to figure out my totals. So I'm going to, and when we figure out these totals, this is really like how much money do we have to spend on all the other stuff? All these things are the necessary evils. These are all the fixed inputs that we have in our lives. These are the things that we have to pay no matter what. We can adjust how much money we spend on groceries or clothing or entertainment, but these are the necessary evils. So I got $75,000. All right. And what I'm going to do is if I do this, what you can see here is in the corner, if I highlight all of my expenses, it tells me how much that is. So all of my yearly taxes, insurance, savings, mortgages, and student loans puts me at $56,919. So what I would do is I would take $75,000 and subtract out $56,919, which leaves me about $1,800, or not $1,800. I'm sorry, $18,000 a year. Okay. I can do the same thing here. Then I can take that number and divide it by 12. And that gives me about $1,506.75 to spend on clothing, food like going out, groceries, all that fun stuff. Okay. I can double check that. I can take, 6,250, and I can subtract out all my crap here. And that's about correct. Okay. So we have completed part 2 of the budget project. Okay. So what I suggest you do is then when you're done with that, you're going to upload this back to part 2 of the budget project where you have the turn in. So budget, I'd come finish that. I go to budget project part 2. And I will turn in this assignment under part 2. Okay. If you have any questions at any time while you're filling out this spreadsheet using your numbers, just email me. You can put something in the chat. This video is pretty long, but it was thorough. So hopefully you can. I'm going to put in, like I said, you'll use the transitions. Fast forward through, find the parts you're looking for, and we go from there. Alrighty. Hope you're having a good day, and we'll talk to you very soon.